This week's Player of the Week is not only showing his abilities for the Estacado Matadors this season, but also giving him a glimpse of the future. Here's George with more.
All right, thanks, Travis. We're here. City Player of the Week, Augustina Biggity, running back, sophomore here at Estacado. And Augustina, a big game for you guys to start off district and a big game for you. Kind of talk about the game and kind of your role. Talk about how you kind of felt in the game there on Friday night.
Well, actually, I actually feel good. Well, if it wasn't for the linemen and the defense was out there going hard, we wouldn't have pulled it off. But other than that, the offense, they done pretty good.
Talk about, your role in this offense, just a sophomore kind of coming in, but kind of being given, or not given, but, earning the tailback spot. Talk about kind of what you did as far as, what you did to earn the spot and kind of keep the spot and make this a focal point of the offense.
Actually, I just gave it all I had. Went out there, gave it 100% every day in practice and stuff, and just go hard.
Talk about what it is. What do you feel like makes you a good running back? We've talked with Coach Surveillance, and he's mentioned your vision and things like that. But talk about what you feel like it is that your attributes are that make you a good running back.
Well, Coach Thurman and Coach Sims, they just tell us every day to go hard, and we just listen to them. And as we listen to them, we'll get somewhere.
Is it hard as a sophomore to kind of get a grasp of the offense or kind of be a big part of this offense? Kind of coming in fresh, not having played varsity last year.
Well, actually, it's kind of scary at first, but once you get used to it, it becomes very easy.
What was it? Just a matter of reps in games or reps in practice or what?
Reps in the game. You get the reps in the game. You won't be scared of that.
Well, talk about, a big win for you guys to start off district. I know that's kind of what you guys were pointing at. Now you're kind of going into level and talk about, the feeling of the group now after getting that first district win out of the way.
Well, we feel pretty good. We practice hard every day. Just feel pretty good.
All right, well, they should be feeling pretty good after a win over Perryton. Augustina Biggity this week, City Player of the Week, a big part of this Estacado offense. Travis, back to you.
All right, George, a big lift for the Matadors from their sophomore running back.
Yeah, a big game for Augustine, 116 yards, a couple touchdowns. And just watching the guy, and we've seen him, me and some of the radio guys and have commentated about him. And just a sophomore, he's 5'10", already 180 pounds, solid as a rock. Imagine how much bigger he's going to be getting once he, really gets into the weight room and gets into the training room and things like that. But Augustina Biggity just has great vision and has great moves. He's kind of really a lot like LaDainian Tomlinson in his ability to cut and find the holes and get through them really quickly. Just a great burst of speed once he has the ball. Just an outstanding running back, a fun one to watch. And like we said, not only for this year, but being just a sophomore, he's going to be around for a couple more years for Estacado, and really I think is going to be a big focal point of their offense from here on out.
All right, with 2-5A only having about 4 weeks left now, who's really kind of stood out to you in that district and what they've done so far this season?
Well, in terms of Lubbock ISD teams, obviously you have to look at Coronado and some of the numbers they're putting up. You saw them obviously against Midland. Chris Camp, the outstanding quarterback, with another big game. Really, I think was a needed game for him. He'd struggled the last couple of weeks since breaking his wrist, and really needed a breakout game to kind of get him back on track. And obviously, he's going to look to Shanny Wilkinson, more often than not. And Shanny with another big game, over 200 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. But they've got the ability to run the game or run the ball. We've talked about Kendall Robertson here on the show, and he's got some outstanding stats as well. About 600 yards. And so when you're looking at offensive stats, you're really talking about Coronado and the way they're playing. Defensively, it may not show up in the stats sometimes, but you're impressed with the athletes, at Lubbock High and their secondary. Devonic Freeman, Jabri Gibson, Anthony Morrison, those guys, and then Monterey's defense is solid. I know it gives up 300 yards a game, but it's solid in the secondary with McNamara and Vestal and those guys, and they've got some outstanding linebackers. And of course, you're talking about Joe Wilburn, the Baylor commitment on the offensive or on the defensive line. So it's just they're so spread out, for all these teams. There's no real one dominant group right now in terms of just being able to force their way and force their will on other teams, and that's what I think the next 4 weeks is what all those teams have really got to work on, is being able to impose their will, whether it be offensively, defensively, on the opponents.
Yeah, Camp completes 33 of 53 for 362 yards, 3 touchdowns. All 3 of those go to Shaney Wilkinson, who has over 260 yards, like you just said. All those Grande Communication Stadium records. I mean, it was just unbelievable. So we'll have to see what they do later on to maybe push for that playoff spot. All right, when we come back, George will visit with New Deal head coach Ron Mayo for our Coach's Chalk Talk session right here on The Fever.